Hi guys, Juan here in rebuilding from scratch. And today it's a long video, and it's a video about the end-to-end of where I'm at today. So where I started all the way to where I'm at. I've been getting a few questions about how does it all work when seeing it together, 10,000 feet view. I'm going to go through all the different stages that I've done. If I look that way, it's because I'm looking at the screen because I'm going to be sharing it. I'm going to try that a little bit, how to share the screen as I talk to this camera. And so bear with me, and hopefully it's useful, right? And so it all started. So if I go back to 5 weeks ago, I think, I can't remember, time flies when you're having fun. Let's say 5 weeks. And it all started for me with, okay, what the heck? This is not where I'm going. Where am I going to go? What I wanted to do was to define to myself the overview. What am I doing? And it was very clear to say I'm stepping away from B2B marketing, B2B creativity, B2B content, all that stuff that I was doing for so long, to have an open and raw conversation documenting the journey of me reinventing and trying to discover either a new business or a new path for me. What was that personal reinvention? And it was quite, so the first thing I did is I wrote it down. So it's clear. Even today, when I look at it back, look at it easy, right? Like it makes sense and it keeps me grounded. So doing those little things can be helpful. Sometimes people go, I don't want to write, it's boring. But it does may help. It helps you kind of build a bit of an anchor. And by the way, my journey, what I'm doing is just what I'm using, that it seems to be working for me. I haven't found my path on my journey yet, but it's just what I'm doing basically. It may work for you, may not work. This is just me, again, sharing what I'm doing. So the first thing I did was that exercise was so uncomfortable, where it was about your internal compass. And it makes sense to start there, but I was not really keen on it or really super excited, just because it was a bit uncomfortable. And it was all about, what does success look like for me as a human, not for me in my business, not for me in my career, but what do I want to get out of life? And which values do I want to live by? It's a very internal conversation, and I think sometimes we take all those conversations for granted. I did take them for granted until you get burned and something clicks and you go, okay. So when I was doing I call it my internal compass, and it is when I was doing those value exercises, which is something I kind of think I now have them in my head and I kind of revisit them all the time. So it's nice because now I don't start with a blank canvas when it comes down to talking about values. But it did give me a little bit of a sense of, oh, hold on, is this really who I am and the things I want to kind of achieve? So I literally went and defined my values and did all sorts of different activities around them, and happy to share in another conversation. If anyone's interested on what I did, let me know. And then I literally physically wrote 2 paragraphs of what I thought success would look like. And this doesn't mean that I'm going to do this, it's good, that's how my life is going to be. But it does, if I can read that and it feels kind of, and I'm feeling, oh, that sounds great. Like if I could live my life by those things and like that, sign me in. So it was a great feeling. But I really want to point out, it was so uncomfortable that I wanted to put it away. And sometimes, to be honest, I felt that I was wasting my time. Like I just went, this is such a waste of time. But it wasn't. And I know that there's a lot of people, it was just get to know yourself, and that shit is uncomfortable. Then what I did, when you start from scratch, is I didn't have any, how do you organize your day? Because it's not like I started with, oh, I have this idea that I want to pursue and I'm going to go for it, and I've thought about this solution and I would just want to build that. I didn't have that. And so you go, okay, I don't want to go that way, but I don't know which way to go. So I need to allow myself for discovery, to discover things, to think, to tinker, if you will. So I built myself 4 rituals. The rituals truly was to give me a bit of a structure around my week and what could I do and what should I be aiming or not aiming, and maybe having a structured conversation with myself. Because what happens, and what I've experienced a lot, is you do have a lot of stories in your head. And your head is pretty awesome at many things, including distracting you, including you putting you down, including you making you feel really scared about the stuff you're doing. So all those things are going to be part of this. And I kind of started to experience that, and many times you go, oh, I don't want to do this. This is no way. But the rituals turn out to be quite good. So the first one was on a month. This is weekly. On Mondays, I wanted to do it Sunday nights, but I couldn't do it Sunday nights. Too tired after hanging with the fam. So it's all about the reset blueprint, and is thinking about what I'm building, what I'm doing, the journey I'm in. Is this something I still want to live? Am I feeling miserable about this, or am I just kind of still feeling it? Not without challenges, is this aligned? And that was pretty cool to do, because it allows you to kind of have an honest conversation and give yourself some space, time to remove the noise. Say, hey Juan, do you still want to do this? Hey Juan, is this journey or what you're setting up yourself to do, is it something you want to pursue? If the end, with all the unknowns, because there's a billion unknowns, but is it something? So that's been good. There's another one that I do on Wednesdays, middle of the week, which is your momentum check. And this is all about, do I have the energy? Do I have the creativity? Do I have kind of the focus that it takes to do what I'm doing? The first part of the journey, as I don't have the idea, it's all about kind of this exploration and refining myself. So it's really messy, and it was pretty good. It was pretty helpful to go, do I still have the energy? Do I want it? There are weeks that I go, this doesn't feel right. But then you keep going, right? I've read somewhere, the obstacle's away. So sometimes you just have to keep going. The end of the week, I do 2 little rituals on Friday. One is called your signal scan. And the signal scan is about, do I get to celebrate the little wins that I've done? The little it is important to look back and look at the things you've done, to look back and to celebrate that at least you're giving it a go, and to give back and look at the learnings you've gone through. And doing that was helpful. I did learn this when I was working in an experience innovation kind of agency a long time ago, and they did these every Friday. We would all get together at the end of play and celebrate the quick wins, and we would do a shout out to someone on the team and say why they helped you that week, and that was a beautiful thing. So I've taken this into my signal scan, and it just kind of helps you realize that you've done something. You're not just not done anything. If you've watched my videos, there are moments where I probably should have an MVP now, but I don't have an MVP now. But when I look back, I've created a framework, I created a way to analyze ideas, a way to have fun with my ideas. I do hypotheses around MVPs, and now I'm about to test a value proposition of one of the ideas. So when you look back, it's not that you didn't do anything, and that's something you want to realize, especially when you have those stories in your head going, hey, don't do it, go and do something else, And the last ritual of the week, it's kind of found a fuel, something that I set up myself that I felt it was important. How do I get to grow more personally and professionally? And as we know, AI moving super fast. It was a time where this space is to look at, have I learned any lesson, and how do I kind of use that lesson in my life? And have I been using those lessons? Or when you listen to a podcast and you finish, it's a time to, what's my key 2 takes of that podcast? Out of those 2 takes, which ones can I just live by, or which ones can I add to my life? So it's not about just listening and forgetting. How do I use that information practically into my life? So that's where the Founder Fuel became to be. And the last one is every month I do I call it recalibration day, but it's like a retrospective on things of what's working, not working, do more, do less, stop doing, that type of jazz, and see where we're at. So those were the rituals. Or everything's recorded. If you're interested in what tools I'm using, I put it all in Notion. It's free, easy peasy, it's searchable, good linking, easy, right? So that's what I did. Then what I worked on was my SMART goals. Now, the SMART goals are great for a few things. They truly help you look at specificity. How do you measure it and in what time, right? Like, it's really helpful for that. So it's like putting a bit more rational thinking on when you're in the world of ideas and subjectivity and endless possibilities. And my 4 main goals, and everything's recorded in Miro, and then I track them I build all these different trackers, which I'm happy to expand more in another video or talk to you. Basically what I did was, one is what's going to be my career business kind of path. I need to find something to do that generates, obviously, that I can make a living, that's aligned with my internal compass. I also wanted to, or still want to, build and engage with an audience that maybe are trying to redefine themselves or are in rebuilding or want to change but the careers but don't know how. All sorts of things with this content. I've been obviously sharing the journey, and with the journey I was hoping to get a bit more conversations, but I haven't. The conversations that I've had, they've been pretty interesting and it's super nice, really, because it's a very human topic. There's a lot of vulnerability around these. So some conversations have been quite deep, and that's been a beautiful experience that you wouldn't have if I was doing what I was doing before. So that's great. But also, as I've mentioned before, these documenting the journey, it takes a lot of time on the production, on the sharing, and when you do it on your own, it becomes like a little side business kind of thing, although you don't get paid and it takes a lot of effort. But I also think it's very important part of what I'm doing, because that's what I set up to do. And at times you don't want to do it, but I keep thinking to myself, it's something I set up myself to do, so I need to keep doing it. And maybe it's helping somebody, and that will make it worth it. The third goal is around monetization experiments and things that you can test in market. And that's where I'm getting to with one of the ideas. When you don't have ideas or you don't have a clear path to pursue or a direction, then monetization may not be the first place. But I wanted to have it there because I really want to keep myself honest on, one, you need to build something that you can sell. You want to find yourself a path where you can hit your revenue or make an income. I have a family. I can't just sit down and explore forever and document videos, right? I need to find that. So this monetization space is really important. And then the last one is, as a founder, I really wanted to, there's so many lessons I learned while at Blue Melon, and so many lessons I've learned through other ventures that I've started with my partner, my life partner, that didn't work, that this was an opportunity to expand myself into what things I can and I have to learn. How do I grow into new topics that are so intense in market? Of course, AI. And how do I keep myself kind of improving on these skills, right? What was cool about the goals, if you think about it, I did my internal compass and then I did the SMART goals. And then what happens is the rituals will keep these two, internal and goals, kind of linked together. So in all the rituals, I check the goals. How am I tracking with that? I check my internal compass, and then all of a sudden, everything starts to connect with the things I was building. So what I wanted to avoid was create all this work around your goals and just live in them and not caring about them. I want them to be simple enough that I could track them. I want my internal compass to be simple enough that I could keep it present. And then I wanted to keep myself super accountable for the things I said I was going to do, doing them and connecting those two. Because they're both kind of part of you, right? Like you can't have one without the other. Or most of the times we just focus too hard on professional and we forget about our inner desires or something. So once I had that structure and I used G Suite with Google Docs, Google Sheets, then I used Notion, connected all together, and Miro to map the process. But before the ideas, because I didn't start with ideas, I started documenting the journey. And so what I did was, what was going to be the style I want to go for, my tone of voice, my personality. I can only be me, so I just ended up being, let's put it as me. I found my little handle that I could document these. Started to think about, obviously, YouTube will become the repository for the videos, so I don't have to pay a hosting. And then I found a handle called Founders Reset, and then through that, I've been kind of documenting stuff. Created my content pillars. To be honest, it's a good guiding principle, but I let content to be dictated more for the stuff that I'm living and that I'm doing. But I did do that, and it was helpful at the beginning to think, oh yeah, I can see myself doing content around those things. Has it panned out exactly like that? Maybe not, but that was just something I spent time doing, and it gave me as well, kind of, before doing all the content, a space where I could think, that makes sense to me. I didn't want to stay the whole time on screen and by myself. So I created something called Accountability Labs. And Accountability Labs is a monthly face-to-face session in here where I was able to get, at the beginning it was 10 people. I think active now we're only 5 or 6. I want to keep growing it. But the idea is we come together once a month and we track each other's goals and what we want to achieve and how we achieve, what are we achieving, what we said we're going to achieve, and everyone helps each other. It's not just professional, it's personal too. And what has become is a great place to be vulnerable. And there is a huge difference between conversations online on a particular channel versus sitting with people and having a drink and just being there for a different reason, that you want to make sure the other person gets help, the other person gets heard, and a space where it feels a bit safe. I don't know if I'm being biased, but it's been quite fun, and I think we've had pretty interesting conversations. So that kind of a space of Accountability Labs has been also important in my journey. And I would love to keep doing it, and I would love to grow it more because it's fun. It's fun to help each other and notice that you're not alone, right? Like, you are this people doing and having challenges all around and trying to do things all the time. So what better way to get into it and try to do it together? Anyway, the next thing I did was, once I had all that happening, I wanted to explore ideas. Now, idea exploration, it brings me back to the days when I used to do more human-centered design and design thinking things, which I still love, the whole discipline and premise about. It's all about what are you trying to solve to whom and how you're going to go about it, while thinking that the experience needs to be the best it can possibly be. How human can we be? So I love that. And with that in mind, I knew that I was going to step into a place, no shortage. It's chaos, right? It's literally chaos. And it's a beautiful chaos because ideas come from anywhere. And this is how it kind of looks like. And because I knew it was going to be chaotic, I kind of went, let's go. I'll use Meetup, where I use the digital board to put post-its, and I gave myself the freedom of just dream, do blue sky thinking stuff, do little tactical things. What's in your head? Put it out there. What conversations have you been having? What do you keep coming that's not working? Whatever it is, right? And that's why I say it's chaos, because it's just like everywhere. And I think it's also beautiful because you can see how your brain it just contains much information, but it's got ideas all the time. It's like, oh, I could fix that. Oh, we could try that. Oh, there's an opportunity here. And it's like, bah, 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 bah. And different things, different industries, different everything. And then when you put it down, you go, whoa, man, that's all that's been in my head. Shit, that's a lot. And it's great. But I also knew that what I wanted to do on an ideation, let's say phase 1, is how do I, once you have the post-its and the fun and, all these crazy ideas, how do I bring them down a little bit? How do I eventually select one? What do I need to give myself to get, even if it's on a more rational frameworky way? And I know that that doesn't make the idea you choose bulletproof. I know that. But I wanted to, and I also want to give a bit of a more chance of an idea. Ideas are very fragile, right? So you want to give them a little bit of loving, even if you're not going to commit to them. I think that's a good way, because you want to kind of go deeper into one idea to see, oh, this sounds a little bit better. Let's do that. So what I did was I created a guiding. The first was I want a guiding criteria in my ideas. So they needed to be aligned to my internal compass. They needed to support my, let's say, the life I wanted to live into the future. One of the exercises I had to do is, which was for me not the easiest one, is what are you good at? What are your superpowers? And you want the idea to sort of, you want to see how you could align your superpowers to that idea, just because obviously you want to, like, a good idea for me is not to be an NBA basketball player. I'm very short, so I don't think that would be a great idea. But you know what I mean, right? Like, I think what's your superpower kind of thing. And this was all, so when you go into this crazy world of ideas, you have something to go, okay, yeah, I can see myself pursuing that. I could use my skill set in here. Or maybe you're comfortable saying, far out, I have no idea about this thing. I have no skills, but I don't care. I'm going to go into it. At least you have, and that's why I like a little bit of a framework without killing the beautiful world of chaotic ideas and exploration and endless possibilities, which is fascinating. So I went and started with a little, obviously, kind of post-it session that I was working on. Now I had my little kind of guiding criteria that I was going to go through all the ideas. They were going to go through this thing without spending, obviously, I needed to spend enough time, but you can't stay there forever. I came up with a few things, right? So one thing was an evaluation framework, which I'll talk in a second. Then how do I prioritize the ideas? And then which variables I was using. And so at the end of the day, I ended up with 13 ideas. I did a whole video on the 13 ideas, again, to share. I'm not going to pursue the 13. Some of them are interesting. Some of them are quite out there, too wild. Some of them are. And what I wanted to do with these ideas was, in my world, I want to prioritize 4 to 5 and explore more. That's not happening anymore. So what you see in the middle is like 4 to 5. It's not happening. I'm going to need to kind of focus on one idea first, get an MVP, see how that goes, and then maybe explore a second idea if I'm lucky. 4 to 5 ideas becoming pretty heavy metal. And in the idea framework, it's got different phases. So I created a bit of a framework. And is, as you can imagine, which is where I'm at now, is define and discovery. Now, I love this moment. Remember, I started with I didn't have an idea I want to execute on. I didn't have a specific problem space that I was sold in. So I needed to do a little more digging. And so I built myself that evaluation space. How do I evaluate my ideas? So the first one is discovery and research. So I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to define the problem space better on that idea. So you may have an idea and say, oh, I'm going to do coffee cups and, So what is the problem space definition? What problem are you solving? How does that look like? And who could be your buyer personas or your audience or your users, right? And you want to dive a little bit. Didn't want to go, I'm not going to build a business case for it yet. But I wanted to go a little bit deeper, so I wanted to feel which one out of the 13 ideas, which one could I go further. So what I did is, this is kind of how the 13 ideas look like. So you have all these ideas. And what I did, I created a little prompt that would help me validate my idea, right? On the things that were interesting for me. So I feel like AI can be quite useful for some of these things. And what I keep finding as well is the output is always very positive. Yeah, you could do this, it looks great. And I'm still unsure how much of it, you should or could trust, right? And it's going, oh, AI is great. You can just do all your buyer personas and your market research and your business planning and it is all extremely positive, promising. But what I keep finding is you need to treat it with a grain of salt. So how much do you trust that output? How much do you need to validate? And then, like kind of just because it's there doesn't make it true, basically. So it was useful to help me expand that first stage. And it looks like this, right? Let me show you one of the... So then you go, look, this one is one of the ideas. We broke it down into a brief introduction. I gave it a description and things that I was thinking, pretty raw, pretty kind of just bullet point thoughts, kind of that guidance. And I also share my internal compass and the SMART goals. So then he goes, okay, well, this is what you may be good at. Does it have a potential on that revenue? If you break it down in phases, what do you think the MVP ideas could be? This was very useful to me because I wanted to see, am I getting excited about this? Is it giving me any answers or any visibility around? It's a little bit different than what I've been exposed to or that I can think of. And some of this stuff, it was just very basic, right? Like I do believe it's a whole other video of what AI kind of gives and provides, and it's magnificent technology, but the solutions and the things it gives, it's pretty, basically to narrow it down, just build a digital product, sell it and multiply it by X and keep doing that. But it was good. It was good to see, does it align with my internal compass, and let's look at would that fit with your SMART goals. So when it comes down to structure and things that you would never do before, how do you align those ideas quickly to your SMART goals? How do you align that to your internal compass? How do you align that to your, let's say, if you have a particular number you want to hit, it's great to do that. Now the validation is the hard part. Do you trust that? I have no idea. And I'm using this with a grain of salt and then see what happens. So that's what I did with ideation, and I did that for the 13 ideas. Now, I don't think I would have been able to do all these without AI. There's just a lot of ideas and a lot of things to explore here. So that was magnificent. Then when I did that, I said, look, can we cluster these ideas? Can we group them into themes or patterns or groups or categories that you think are kind of similar? And then it landed here, like one is about reinventing, the other one's about learning experiences, the other one's about building a support and clarity studio of sorts. I mean, going back to studio world. And then something about life clarity, and then all these things about life and repurpose and reinvention and where I'm at. Even suggested create a story studio, and I was like, oh, here we go again. agency 3, no thanks. And that's why I put it optional. Something that I've been really good at, I've been trying to be very diligent, is to keep the information, to document it, even though sometimes it may be not what I'm after, just because it can help me validate later. And that's where also AI and having things on threads is a nightmare. You can see here in middle, I can navigate so quickly and know kind of where to find the things, which AI you would have to go on threads or very long documents just to find the information. So this is just a side note of why I've been using Miro, and it's been quite useful. Not useful though, as a side note, it's definitely not useful on, you have to repeat a lot of things. And if you want to extract things on Miro, like if I wanted to share these with, let's say, Claude, or if I wanted to share it with ChatGPT, then you have to go and copy and paste stuff, and that's just not fun at all. Just as a side note, I created my idea prioritization variables, which are these guys, and I went through each of the ideas in here, as you can see, and I gave them a little score on energy, clarity, and I defined what energy was. So energy, you can see it here. Energy, how excited do I feel to work on for the next 30 and 60 days, and try to break it down into little chunks. Don't go, I'm going to work for this the rest of my life. How excited I am to keep exploring this. Do I want to go deeper? Clarity, how clear is the audience or the pain point? Is it really clear? And is there a potential offer? So I went through all that for each of the ideas, and that was just to give me a sense of which one should I prioritize. It doesn't mean that this is going to tell you exactly which idea you should and have to work, but it did give me some parameters to then help my brain to go, okay, that idea, let's say idea of Open Door 2.0, it's there, but let's not spend time on that. Let's not, and then you can, if you really want to do it, then go for it. But if your energy and your clarity is not there, maybe you don't want to do it, you know? Again, all this is up to you, how you want to jazz it up. But this is kind of what I did. And so this is all about problem space. I really want to make sure that it's nothing to do yet with building anything. But I want to show you now, how did I started to then expand on the idea? So then I went and said, okay, cool. I want to do this reinvention. I do believe in it. It's what I'm living at the moment. It's something that I feel it's in the air. It's something that I'm also noticing it's going to come really fast. I'm sure there will be a lot of redundancies coming from AI taking certain jobs. So imagine, can you do something in this problem space? What? I don't know, but can you do something? And that's the question I wanted to kind of expand a little more without going too deep. So this is here, I built another awesome video. And what I did was I kept my rationale, then I expand more. What is it? I started to build my outreach kit for research. I wanted to do qualitative research. So the first thing was I want to start to validate and ask people that are going through maybe reinventing themselves. Try to find some groups that I need to be part of. I haven't been great at that, just to try to see what people are saying about these, how they're tackling the problems, how are they kind of going around it. I did a little bit of research on the market, competitors. I even looked at what could be a service. What would be the service market? What is serviceable as opposed to the total addressable market? And these are numbers that, like anything, right? Like it's just up in the air. But it does give you a sense of what's the potential of the market. And you want to maybe go for something that is not ultra tiny unless you're very confident that you can tackle that one down. But then from the total addressable market, I look at what was my serviceable market. Like I will start in English. Maybe eventually I can do it in Espanol. Yay! And then obviously that reduces the numbers and a bit of an exercise on that. Then I went into who's this for, right? Like who the hell is this for? And I came out with 3 personas from my UX days. I like to call them personas in marketing and business world, sales world. They call them buyer personas. The point is, how do you find who's these people? What are the pain points? What are they looking for? What jobs they need to try to, what are they trying to do? Because what you want to find is that thing that's going to help them to do that. So I found the pivoting professionals, so one of their jobs, working really hard, but they lost it. They just want to change. They just want a different thing. I've already started interviews with real people. So much better than prompting. That's so boring. Which I did it with AI, but there's nothing better than talking to people. And I've had a few really cool conversations there. Then I looked at the system seeker and the career returner. Like I know a lot of parents trying to come back. And the system seeker is, there's a lot of promises out there on technology that it does this and it does that. They love the system idea of it, but the systems are not doing what it's meant to be doing or what they promised to do. And I'm one of those. That's why I'm building my static, not so great system. And then I went through what are the main pain points, what's the definition statement of my problem. I did my little emotional journey map. Elena, if you're watching, UX back, baby. So bit of a journey map, which I love doing that. These are things that I do simply because it's stuff that I've done in the past, and I used to tell clients this is kind of a great way to find empathy, to understand your user, to get to the groove of things. And so that's basically why I'm adding all of this stuff. These are my discovery notes. And then I went into what some of the tools that exist do well and maybe not do so well. Kind of where can I play? Where's the gap? What's my white space? And I did a little bit of a market position statement, the calm system from Moments of Reinvention. What? And I play with the slogan for the space between what Juan was, didn't know what to do, oh my God, to what's next. How do I go to that next thing, which is what I'm trying to do, but that's the spot. I mean, boom. So I felt, wow, that's quite cool because I'm doing it and maybe there's something there. Am I being too biased on these? Not sure. Then I look at, okay, I'm going to do a test in market for the positioning of, so I got 3 position ideas. No solution yet. I'm just going to test the positioning. And what you could do with there is I'm going to assign it $1,000. And it's just to kind of, I want to try to find a signal in market, a signal that maybe can show me, hey, there are some people interested, or this probably, and out of the 3, you can kind of see which one is performing better and so on. So one thing is definitely AI can speed up certain things, but you want to get a signal from the market, and hopefully the market that you're getting is not just a bunch of bots. So you need to find a way of validating that it's real people, and the best way is talk to people. It does take time, but it's just much better. And that's where I'm at. It's a very long video, but it's like I am not at a stage yet of building the product, right? I am validating and testing and trying to figure out if there's a space for this. Does this mean that I'm going to do this for the rest of however many years or so? No. What it means is like, I like the problem space. I'm living it on my own skin. I think there's something there that could help others. Great, super aligned to my internal compass. And you could potentially make a living out of it. So also great. Now, once I finish my value proposition test, then it will become, do I want to go all hands on deck to try to figure it out, which is the how may we's, which is the solution that I foresee, or maybe I come up with. And I know that ideation brainstorm session, that what this could become. That's it. That's where I'm at. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this thing. I know it's a long one, but I just wanted to kind of record to where I'm at today and see what happens. Thank you so much. Bye.